On August 8th, 1995, everyone inside of the Playtime Co. factory was killed, and this was due to an attack orchestrated by the prototype, who got many of the experiments to attack everyone in sight all at the exact same time. But then the question is, if the prototype hated Playtime Co. for so long, then why did he wait so long to start the Hour of Joy? Well, there actually might be a few reasons, but let's go over all of the possibilities to see if we can find the best explanation. The first interesting thing is that the attack took place in August, which is usually summertime for kids. So if kids are out of school, they're more likely to be at the Playtime Co. factory, either with their parents or even with their friends for a group party. And because we know that the prototype took the orphans down to the labs, is it possible that some of those kids were kids who were caught in the Hour of Joy and turned into orphans since the toys killed their parents? Well, it would make sense, as all of the other toys were kids as well, so most of their built-up anger would be directed at adults, but especially the Playtime Co. staff. So if the prototype chose this day, then he had to have known that there would be more kids in the factory, which he could have done on purpose in order to have more kids down in the labs for whatever reason he needs them. But why not July, or why not August of 1994? Well, we have to go over the prototype's escape, which is very briefly mentioned in the very last tape in chapter 1. After we defeat Huggy and make our way across the catwalks, we eventually hear a tape where a scientist is right in the middle of the Hour of Joy, and he says that the prototype's absence was a flaw in the scientific process which shouldn't have been left unaccounted for.
Though still missing, today's events are no doubt in relation to him. His absence was a flaw in the scientific process, which should have under no circumstances been left unaccounted for. That's why I'm making this log, so that the same mistake won't be made twice. Any future experiments will need to be contained and disposed of in a secure location.
So if the prototype was already missing before the Hour of Joy, then maybe the timing has to do with what he was doing in the factory before then, because he'd have to convince all the toys to disobey Playtime Co. and to instead kill everyone in sight. But we actually do end up seeing what this is like in Project Playtime, because in the monster tutorial you play as Huggy Wuggy with the voice telling you what to do, and because of the similar language to the death screens and deep monster-like voice, it seems that this is the prototype telling Huggy what to do. In the tutorial, the prototype tells Huggy that we, the players, are trying to make more toys, and that he needs to put a stop to it, meaning that Huggy is motivated to stop any more experiments from happening.
Others are starving. Get up. They are trying to build more toys.
But if this is true, then could this have been the entire reason for the Hour of Joy? If the prototype was able to convince Huggy this way, or at least it seems so, then he could have just as easily convinced all the rest of them in the exact same way. And it seems that Catnap even felt this way, as in a chapter 3 tape, we hear a conversation between Leith Pierre and Catnap, where Catnap says the prototype will save us. And Catnap is the first character we've seen with a ashy voice.
I mean, that's fantastic, isn't it? Is his, voice thingy still broken?
The prototype will save us.
Theo, nobody's gonna save you. This prison is where you belong. We'll let you out here and there to go see the kids in play care, but your home is here. And as for the prototype, his home is in the labs.
But if he's saying us, then who is he talking about? Well, in my opinion, it seems like he's talking about all the other toys in the factory, meaning that there was already a hostile relationship between Playtime Co. and its experiments. But there's more to this, because it seems like the prototype was able to escape his containment multiple times. But the first time, he just gave himself up, which is weird, because if his goal was the Hour of Joy, then why delay? The first time he escaped was when the prototype and Theodore Granville, the kid who was turned into Catnap, got their hands on 2 grab packs with green hand attachments. And using these, they tried to open a door, and it worked. But sadly, Theodore was electrocuted by the green hand, causing his heart to stop. And right there, the prototype had a choice to make, either escape the factory or save Theodore. And the prototype instead chose to save him and lose his freedom, rather than just going for the already open exit. But this might not have been such a good act of heroism, but instead the prototype knows that he can't start the Hour of Joy from the outside, but only from the inside. Since he's already escaped once, he was most likely confident that he'd be able to do it again. But with the Hour of Joy not even showing what the prototype was doing, then he must have had a greater role than we might think. And this could be the reason that he took so long to start his plan. The prototype would need the perfect hour to kill everyone in the factory. He would need all or at least most of the toys to go along with his plan. And he'd also have to take the orphans either during or after the Hour of Joy. But to get all of these things right would probably take a long time. And so sometimes during his second escape, which was mentioned in the final chapter 1 tape, he could have used that time in order to convince the other toys into following his plan, and then shortly after wait for the right moment to strike. But when you think about it, the prototype didn't really take that long. He was created sometime before the Bigger Bodies initiative, but considering his experiment number, it couldn't have been much earlier than 1989, meaning the prototype took only 6 years to go from brand new creation to taking down one of the world's largest toy companies from the inside. And if he had to escape his containment 2 times, convince all of the toys to follow him while even getting some of the toys to worship him, and get all of the toys to do his killing for him at the exact same time, then you can see why this would take so many years. And lastly, why did they do this at 11 AM? Well, there are a few reasons. The first is that the prison guards could have had a shift change at this time, meaning they'd be out of position and still trying to get themselves together, all while the toys are already killing everyone. Or it's possible that this was when most of the Playtime Co staff would go on lunch, meaning that there would be less prison guards and staff to take care of, or they'd at least be in the break room unable to help stop the toys. And especially since it's hinted that one of the employees helped the prototype, he'd have to take the extra time to be able to convince that person.
Remarkable. 1006.
How could this happen? There's fail-safes, security measures. It's impossible.
Personal agendas have long been the downfall of this company. Is it unreasonable to believe they were conspirators? Playtime is filled with vipers and backstabbers.
But it ended up being worth it, as the prototype executed his plan perfectly and ended up getting exactly what he wanted. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video right here.